Happy Friday! Welcome back to the Distressed Princess. Thanks for joining me on my new upload day. I went from Saturdays to Fridays. I'm hoping to accommodate more viewers. I wanted to let you guys know, I think there's been some concern that my decorating aesthetic, my crafting is all going to be like this vintage colorful stuff, more retro. And although I do really like that stuff, and that's what I'm currently transforming my kitchen into right now, I still like all kinds of styles, and I still will be crafting all kinds of styles, including farmhouse, sometimes boho, shabby chic, cottage, and all the things that I love. So my channel is not really changing at all. I'm still doing all the different styles. It's just I've kind of been on a vintage retro kick. But today we're gonna go back to our roots and do some rustic farmhouse decor. So let me show you what I'm working on today. I'm starting off with this wooden piece that I found at Goodwill for only a couple dollars. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it when I bought it. I think it was made to hold paper plates, and I liked that it was wooden. I thought it had a lot of potential, and I'm going to repurpose it for another use. I'm going to do a rustic layered painting technique. So my first layer of paint is the color pewter gray, and it's just apple barrel acrylic paint. After the gray paint is completely dry, then rub a candle in the areas where you might want that paint color to show through. Because when you add your top layer of paint, it won't stick wherever you applied the candle wax. My top layer of paint is Rust-Oleum Linen White Chalk Paint. And I applied this paint purposefully, haphazardly, so that the edges were not completely covered, where it kind of naturally already was going to look a little worn. And this is where the magic happens. You use a plastic scraper. I imagine you could use a credit card. You'll have to apply some pressure, and that top layer of paint will come right off where you applied the candle wax. And so you can pick and choose how much you want to come off and how much you want to leave on, and just make it look just old and worn and rustic. This is really one of my favorite painting techniques for a farmhouse look. At first I had put a vintage postcard on the front of it, but I wasn't quite satisfied with that look. So I removed the postcard and decided to use these stamps that I got at the Dollar Tree. Now this is an amazing find. I know they have different ones, but I especially love these bird ones. And so if you can find these in your Dollar Tree, definitely pick those up. I'm using black StazOn ink pad that I got at Michael's because I didn't see an ink pad or ink at the Dollar Tree. And I don't own an acrylic stamp block, so I'm just using the piece of plastic that comes in the package of stamps, and I put the stamp onto the plastic. It attaches just fine, and then I rubbed my ink pad on top of the stamp and dipped the stamp down into the ink pad. I did both ways this time, and applied it to my piece, and I loved the results. Absolutely loved how gorgeous this turned out. And then I went stamp crazy. I am obsessed with how this turned out. I want to show you the product I use to clean my stamps and to clean up any ink that gets where it shouldn't be. It's the Stays On brand. It came from Michaels too. So what exactly did I repurpose that paper plate holder to do? I thought it would be a neat thing to hold my notebooks. And while we're at it, we might as well make our notebooks look pretty. So all I did was take a piece of that peel and stick wallpaper from the Dollar Tree and I put it right onto the cover of my notebook. And I also thought that it would be a good idea to take this really cute notepad from the Dollar Tree and turn it into a pretty thing to go in my notebook holder. You'll need 2 pieces of chipboard or very heavy cardboard, and you're going to make a front and back cover. And the way to do this is to trace around the notepad and cut out 2 pieces of chipboard. Then you'll glue your pretty notepad on top of one of the pieces of chipboard. Now, one of my pieces of chipboard was damaged from previous crafting, so that's the one I'm using because it's all going to be hidden anyway. Since this is going to be a flip style notebook, you will need a small piece of chipboard the same width as the notebook to act as your top binding piece. Then using another piece of the peel and stick wallpaper from the Dollar Tree, we're going to peel the backing off and lay all our pieces out on top of it like this. Then with a rotary blade or a utility knife, cut away the excess wallpaper. And there you have the outside covered with the pretty wallpaper. Now we need to work on the inside. I had enough scraps of my wallpaper left over just to go ahead and put them on the inside of the notebook too. They go perfect with this notebook that I made in a previous video, and I will link that video for you in my description box below. The good people at Trifo sent me another robot vacuum to review and show you all about. This vacuum claims to have features that a lot of other robot vacuums just don't have. So we're going to put all this to the test and I will give you my honest review of the Lucy Trifo vacuum. This is everything you'll find when you get her out of the box. She comes with a user manual, the charging station along with a cord, a mopping attachment, and some mopping pads. Under the hood is where you'll find the dirt collection bin, which I find to be extra large. I have owned some other robot vacuums before and their collection bins aren't as large as this, and it does come with a filter that you can take out and wash. And again, with this robot, they designed the charging station so that the cord can be wound up inside and you can use whatever length that you want. So you can have it longer or you can have it shorter, and it can come out either side to go on whichever side your outlet is on. But the big deal about this vacuum is that it is equipped with a security camera. so you can use your phone when you're away from home to check on things at your house. Her first time out, she's going to go all over your house in seemingly random pattern, but she's mapping everything out so that she gets to know your home and all the sections of it, so that later on you can tell her what rooms you want her to go clean, or all of them if you want. She has super smart sensors to keep her from sucking up things that may happen to fall on the floor. I love that she can fit under most of my furniture to suck up all those dust bunnies that I might not know are there. But under my bed, I can guarantee, is always a lot of dust and cat fur that collects under there. And now I can sleep better knowing that all that is gone for good. I was really impressed with the camera on the front of the vacuum that can be used for home surveillance if you're away from home. So I can see using this while I'm on vacation to make sure everything looks fine in the house, and also to check up on my little furry babies. Lucy ran for a whole 2 hours before she returned to her charger to recharge, and look at all that she collected. There's a lot to love about this Lucy robot vacuum, and if you want to get your own, I will have a link in my description box along with a promo code so you can take advantage of the latest deals from Trifo. Now back to the farmhouse DIYs. My next piece is something that I picked up at a flea market type thing. It was less than $10. I want to say it was $8 I paid for this. And I guess it's a magazine rack, but I envisioned it holding my table linens or my lace pieces and crochet pieces. You can see that this used to be an old 90s style thing with the heart cutout, but what these people did was put a board over the front of that heart and covered it right up, which I've done in a previous project myself. I think that's a pretty good idea to update some old pieces. If you're a fan of crackle style paint, then you're going to love this. This is the best crackling I have ever done on anything before ever. And it was ridiculously easy. All I had to do was put that glue right onto the piece, which I was lucky. This was already black. That's the color that I wanted to show through my crackle anyway. I put the glue on, I spread it out with a foam brush, and I didn't wait any time at all. I immediately started putting on my top coat of Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint. Then I used my hair dryer set on its hottest setting and watched the crackles appear. This is so magical to me. I love it. I did this crackle technique on both outside pieces of the rack and a couple of the front edges. Oh, and the front bottom edge. And I left the inside part black and I left the rungs black. Since I wasn't finished decorating this rack, I sealed it with clear gloss coat, and that is because I'm going to be using some transfers on it next. It's important to seal your freshly painted pieces before you apply transfer, because the transfer backing could possibly take that paint right back off. I'm using Iron Orchid Design Transfer today, and I picked out the set of roses that comes in this package with the buffalo. I just cut out the pieces that I wanted to use, taped them in place where I wanted them to go, peeled off the white backing, and transferred them onto the rack using the plastic tool that they send you. And it's always a very satisfying reveal. Like I said, I envisioned this rack holding some table linens, and so I have these pieces that are They're called placemats. I bought them from the Burlap Fabric Company, which I can link in my description box below if you want to get your hands on some of these. They were very inexpensive, if I recall. But anyhow, this is what I'm going to use for my quote-unquote linens. And now I'm going to use some Iron Orchid Designs stamps to put some designs onto these. This time I'm using the IOD black ink and their ink pad, and you'll also need a craft stick. To load the ink pad, you give the bottle of ink a quick shake, and then you squeeze a good amount onto the pad. Then you spread the ink onto the pad with your craft stick, just like jelly on toast. And try not to let it get off of the spongy part of the ink pad. Keep spreading until there's no longer ink pooled and standing on top of the pad. And again, since I don't have an acrylic block, I'm using the plastic that came with the stamps, and then I'm using the ink to dab onto the stamp. Because these stamps are large, it's kind of hard to do it the other way around. So I'm dabbing the pad onto the stamp, and then I'm gonna put my little piggy down onto the linen and just wait till you see how cute this turns out. Voila! What could be faster and cuter? Then I made a cow and a sheep. And here's how my linen rack and new linens turned out. Now I'm gonna work on this vase that I got at Goodwill for $1.32. And instead of using it for a vase, I'm going to turn it upside down and use it like a big chunky candlestick. I liked the color that it already was, but you can see it had some scratches and some marks on it, so I really did need to repaint it. I decided to go with the Waverly chalk paint in the color Mineral. And as it turns out, I think it's a pretty close match to whatever color was on there first. The next thing I wanted to do was dress her up using some of these large beads that I got from Michael's. You find them in the jewelry making section, and sometimes they're half off. I'm also using this wooden circle piece that's coming off of this garland that I got at the Dollar General store some time ago, but any circle wooden tag would be fine. I painted over the letter that was on the one side of the tag and dry brushing some linen white chalk paint all over. Then I'm going to pick out another one of those bird stamps to use on the tag. Then I strung all the beads with the tag onto a long piece of jute string and tied it around the top of the vase. Well, what used to be the bottom, but now it's the top. And so she matches my new notebook holder. Now let's take a look back at all the rustic farmhouse DIYs today. Thanks for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, I'll be posting every Friday from now on, and if you're wanting to see more DIY fun, click the link that I provided for you right here, and I'll see you next time. Bye!